Okay, so welcome to creating creature/biped images. This tutorial is going to assume that you've already created your sword, your block, your sword recipe, and your armor. Let's get started. First, we need to change some settings in Eclipse so that we can see empty parent packages. This is going to help us here with the resources. So we're going to go across from the Package Explorer to the white downward arrow, then select Filters, then uncheck Empty Parent Packages. Select OK. You can see here there are some new packages that have appeared. Especially we're going to be interested in this one, assets.mymodding tutorial textures models, which is where our biped model is going to need to go. Okay, let's take a look at that slide. So we're just going to uncheck empty parent packages, pause here as needed. Okay, moving on, we're going to need to copy our mob image from the template. A mob is basically the same thing as a creature. That's what it's called in Minecraft as a mob. Now we're just going to create a specific type of mob. We're going to create a biped mob, which is kind of like a human. Human is a biped. Okay, now we need to copy our images from the template. So we're going to go to Resources, Mob, Sample Entity Mob, and I am going to Control click and select Copy. Then I'm going to go up to our package, Assets, My Modding Tutorial Textures, Models, Control click, and select Paste. And now I can open it and see my sample entity mob. Okay, let's go take a look at this slide. Okay, here it is. Pause as needed. Okay, moving on. Next, we're going to create the sample entity mob class. Let's go back into Eclipse. I am going to Control click on my MyMod package. And I'm going to create a new class. It's going to be the sample entity mob. And select Finish. Okay, I can see it here now. Sample entity mob. Let's take a look at the slide. Here are the instructions. Go pause as needed here. Okay, moving on. We're going to copy the sample entity mob code from the template. So let's go back to Eclipse, go over to our templates. So we need templates, code, mob. We're going to open sample entity mob underscore class. Okay, use Command A to select all, then Command C to copy, and I can close this template using the X. Okay, let's take a look at the slide. You can pause here as needed. Okay. Okay, moving on. We have to place the sample entity mob code in the sample entity mob class. So let's go back to Eclipse, and we're going to go back up to our sample entity mob.java, which is in my mod. Double click to open it, Command A to select all, and then Command V to paste in the code that we just copied from the template. We're going to close the sample entity mob. Using the X, we do want to save. Okay, let's take a look at the slide for that. You can pause here as needed. Okay, next we're going to create the sample render biped class. Render means basically draw, so our biped is going to need to be drawn. I'm going to go back to Eclipse, and in my mod, we're going to create a control click on my mod, then new class, and I'm going to call it sample render biped. Sample render biped. Okay, looks good. I'm going to hit finish. And we can see it now here, sample render biped. Okay, let's take a look at the slide. Okay, here's the slide, if you need that. Okay. We'll move on to the next slide. We're going to copy the sample render biped code from the template. Go over to the templates. Templates, code, mob, and then we're going to open the sample render biped underscore class text file. Command A to select all, Command C to copy. Then I can close this. Okay, let's take a look at this slide for that. Here it is. Pause as needed. Okay, moving on. We have the place the sample render biped code in our sample render biped class. So we need to go back to Eclipse. We've just copied the code for our sample render biped class. So we need to go up to sample render biped.java, double click it to open it. Then we can use Command A to select all and Command V to paste. Okay, now we can close this using the X. We do want to save our changes. Okay, let's take a look at the slide. And pause here as needed. Okay, let's move on to our next slides. So we're going to add our mob to the main. Let's go back into Eclipse, and we need to get our code that we're going to add to main.java. So we're going to go to templates, code, mob main.text. Okay, and we're going to select the lines up here, code for entity. This is just a comment. Remember, this doesn't do anything. And then this is going to create an instance here. So I'm going to press Command C to copy. We go back to my main.java, And just after this line with the public static final string version, so really early on, we are going to paste in the code for the entity. Now I see this is all underlined here, and I think what has happened is I didn't get both slashes in the comment. So I'm going to add that. So now this is commented out again. You can see it's turned green. That was just a selection error. Okay. So now that that's copied, I am going to hover over our instance and import. Okay, now that error is gone. Excellent. Okay, let's take a look at the slide for that. Here it is. Pause as needed. Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide. So we're going to add the mob to main. Okay, so we're going to go back to templates. Templates, code, mob main.text. And now we're going to select the code to register the entity. Copy all this, press Command C to copy, go back to main.java, and I am going to go just above the line that says main. Press enter for a new line, and I'm going to paste in that code. And I'm going to fix the indentation here. Wonder if there is a way to do that automatically. I suspect there is. Correct indentation. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now we're going to need to fix some of these by importing the entity registry and the entity list. Okay. Good. Now next we're going to modify the colors here using the below colors. So the colors we're going to use are on the next slide, but first let's double check this slide. Okay. And then this slide is going to be for our egg color and egg spots. So I believe this is the egg color and this is the egg spots. So right now the egg color, we're just going to look at this part after the X is 0000FF, and we should be able to look at our chart 0000FF. So that is going to be blue 0000FF, and our egg spots are going to be 0000, no, our egg spots are going to be this next one, FF3300, Let's see if that's on our chart. FF3300. Don't need to test the armor. Where did that go? Oh, here it is. Okay. So, I think it was FF3300. Okay, I don't see that one. There are other possibilities other than these. This is just a simple selection of hexadecimal color values. Okay, so we're going to choose from here. I'm going to try to show these both at the same time because it's going to be hard to remember these colors. So I'm going to choose something for my egg color and then something for my egg spots. So I am going to choose red for my egg color. So red is FF0000. And then for my egg spots, I am going to choose yellow. So that's FFFF00. These should all still be 6 characters after the X. And it looks like they are, so that's good. Okay. So let's take a look at the slide for that, in case you need to pause. And also the slide here again. Okay. Now our next step is to add our mob to the main. So we're going to go back over to Eclipse and make this window bigger again. Okay, so I'm going to go to Templates, Code, Mob, and go back to Mob Main. And now I need this second part, this event handler. Copy that using Command C. I'm going to go back to main.java and right above the very last curly brace, I'm going to press enter for a new line. Then I'm going to press Command V to paste in the event handler. Okay, and then I need to hover over and import the FML pre-initialization event. Okay. And hopefully this renderer problem will be resolved later. Okay, let's take a look at that slide. Okay, here it is in case you need it. Okay. So now we're going to create a new common proxy. Alright, so back over to Eclipse. So we're going to select Templates, Code, Mob, Common Proxy, Class.text. Okay, and I'm going to do Command A to select all, then Command C to copy. See, there's some code here that's added for the entity. Okay. And then I'm going to go over to my mod in the common proxy, and I'm going to do Command A, Command V to paste, and then I'm going to hover over Register Renderers. Okay, for right now I'm going to leave these errors and hope that they're resolved later. Okay, let's take a look at the slide. Okay. Alright, so we're going to add our mob name to en_us.lang. So you need to go back into Eclipse, and we are going to go down to our template again, but we need to be in Resources, and we're going to select our entity entry, Command C to copy. Then I'm going to go back up to our code. Okay, so we need to go into Source Main Resources, then Assets, mymining_tutorial.lang, en_us.lang, and we're going to add a new line, and we're going to call this Rainbow Mob. Okay. And I'm going to click X to save this. Okay, let's take a look at the slide. Pause here as needed. Okay, so now we're going to try adding this to Minecraft. We're going to go to Eclipse and run. Looks like those errors still exist to some extent, but the client proxy and the common proxy. I think I'm going to have to go back and take another look at those in a minute. I have a feeling this is going to crash. Okay, let's go back and look. I think it was register renderers. Let's try importing the event handler. Just really not happy about the common proxy. Let's see if we can fix this. I'm gonna pause this. Okay, I think I figured out what I did wrong. I pasted the new client proxy code into the common proxy. So now I can actually hover over the register renderers and create it as I was trying to earlier. And once I've done that, I think most of my errors will be resolved. Let's try running again. Okay, so now it's running. I can create a new world in Creative. See, it's just preparing the spawn area. Okay, and then now I should see under miscellaneous spawn of rainbow mob, which is my new mob. It's the red and yellow that I chose. I'm going to rejoin the game, and I can use control click to place a new item. And right now this is using the PNG image that was already in the template for my new mob. So you can see he's moving autonomously. But now we can go back and we can change our mob to look more like how we want it to. So let's take a look at the next slide. Okay. So we're going to edit our mob image. And we can do that back in GIMP. So I'm going to go back into Eclipse and go to Source Main Resources. Source Main Resources, Assets, My Modding Tutorial Textures Models, right here, and here's our entity PNG. And I am going to control click, open with Other, and I'm going to jump down to G and select OK. Okay, now the mob is a bit funny when you look at it. Everything is laid out. Okay, so you can kind of take a look at this, and if you can remember what you saw when you were playing it, it's going to give you a better idea of how to modify it. But you can see this is the face and the top and the side of the head, and then this wraps around to be the shirt front and back, and then these are the arms and the legs over here. It's a little bit like origami, but you can go ahead and modify that. Use our smallest brush. Now this is going to be quite a lot to modify. I think right now I'm just going to change it so that he has a rainbow on his shirt. Not going to change everything about him. I feel like that would just be a little too time consuming right now. But I think this will put a rainbow on the front of his shirt. Okay. Alright. So then I'm going to go to File, Overwrite, Example Entity Mob. Then I can close this, discard changes, and now I can test again, see if I've modified my mob. Okay. I'm going to play the world I already created. Okay. So there you can see now our rainbow mob now has a rainbow on the front of his shirt. And you can kind of get a better idea looking at this, all the different pieces. These were those little red parts that we saw on the side and the front and the back of the chest and the head. To get a better look at some parts, we would probably have to go and change our view. Our mobs are hidden by the trees. Okay, let me go over. Okay, now let me change the view. Trying to show you the tops of their heads, but that might be a little challenging right now. Oh, there we go. See the tops of their heads. Tops of my head for a bit there. Okay, so we have made a mob and created its spawn egg. Okay, well that's going to be the end of that section. Thank you.